This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
If I had to choose one word that described what happened in AI this week, it has to be catty. I mean, yes, all the big AI labs are constantly competing against each other, but at least Anthropic and OpenAI this week took their, pseudo rivalry to a whole nother level between Anthropic's Super Bowl ad and OpenAI's clapback. Plus, their back-to-back model releases made for an interesting week between two of the heavyweights in AI. But that wasn't all because, SpaceX and XAI, Elon Musk's company, merged. Meta may be cooking up something really impactful after essentially a year of silence. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what's new in AI this week. And if you couldn't keep up, don't worry. That's my job to keep you up to date in the AI news that matters. All right, let's get going and go over everything. What's going on, y'all? If you're new here, my name is Jordan Wilson, and welcome to Everyday AI. This is your daily live stream podcast and free daily newsletter helping everyday business leaders like you and me keep up with the nonstop AI developments, how to make sense of them, cut through the BS and the marketing, take what matters to grow our companies and our careers. So, if that's what you're trying to do, it starts here with the unedited, unscripted live stream podcast. But to take it to the next level, make sure you go to our website at youreverydayai.com. Each and every day, we recap the live stream podcast for the day, as well as giving you all of the other new AI developments that you need to know. But on Mondays, we go over the AI news that matters. So if you can only tune in one day a week and you really only care about what's new, well, Mondays are the day for you. So with that, and hey, live stream audience, gotta shout you guys out more. Great to see everyone joining in. Douglas joining from Indy, Jacob tuning in here from Austin, Texas. Dennis, good to see you from Raleigh, North Carolina. Ooh, my Tar Heels put I wouldn't say a beating on the Duke Blue Devils, but they at least won. Jay, good to see you from West Virginia. Joe, everyone else, thanks for tuning in. All right, but let's start at the top. So this story didn't get a lot of headlines, maybe, but it could be one of the most impactful launches from OpenAI, I don't know, in a while. That's because OpenAI has introduced Frontier, a new platform designed for enterprise customers to build, deploy, and manage AI agents from both OpenAI and third-party companies. So Frontier aims to tackle what OpenAI calls agent sprawl by unifying fragmented tools, disconnected workflows, and siloed data. So in Frontier, each AI agent managed there receives a unique identity along with permissions and guardrails, helping enterprises maintain security and compliance in regulated industries. So OpenAI said that their new Frontier program is modeled after human workplace principles, such as shared context, onboarding, hands-on learning, and clear boundaries to make AI agents more effective collaborators. So the new platform supports agents operating across local, cloud, and OpenAI hosted environments using open standards to allow integration of OpenAI proprietary and also third-party agents all in one system. So OpenAI said that early adopters of Frontier include major companies like Intuit, HP, Oracle, and Uber, who provided guidance during the platform's development. OpenAI is also partnering with organizations such as Abridge, Clay, Ambience, Decagon, Harvey, and Sierra to further refine Frontier based on real customer needs. So yeah, we'll get to all the new model releases and all the back and forth. But I mean, when it comes to AI in the enterprise, maybe one of the most impactful news stories of the week was actually the Frontier platform from OpenAI. So here's the reality. I think that the majority of us listening out there may not get access because this is very limited right now just to some of the largest enterprise companies in the world. But I do think whatever OpenAI kind of cooks up in the frontier platform will eventually be rolled out across their other offerings, everything from, ChatGPT and Codex to their agent builder, right? So I think what happens in the frontier platform with some of their biggest enterprise customers will eventually impact, hundreds of millions of OpenAI users. All right. Our next piece of AI news. Yeah, let's get into some of the spicy stuff right away. So, Anthropic in their Super Bowl commercial, and OpenAI clapbacked, at least online. So, Anthropic's first ever Super Bowl commercial has ignited a public debate about advertising in AI chatbots and even drew a direct response from OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. So, Anthropic's ad campaign that debuted, well, technically they released it online last week, but it just debuted during last night's Super Bowl. The new ad for the Claude chatbot promised to remain ad-free, contrasting with OpenAI's recent announcement that ChatGPT will begin showing ads. So essentially, if you didn't see the ad, I don't think I can play it due to copyright reasons. But they were funny ads. So Anthropic kind of depicted different scenarios, right? They had one with, someone who was quote unquote using an AI to, be better in the gym, therapy. And then, at least in Anthropic's kind of vision of their, of how other AI how other AI companies are implementing ads. They kind of, had these, the trainer and the therapist, start pushing unrelated ads in the middle of the simulated conversation during their ad, right? Which is obviously not how OpenAI's ads are going to work. So the ads from Anthropic were not exactly truthful on how ads will be rolling out in the OpenAI platform, which is why OpenAI's Sam Altman did respond and clap back on Twitter last week, calling the ads dishonest and saying OpenAI would never run ads as depicted in Anthropic's ad. So Altman emphasized that OpenAI's commitment to making AI accessible to billions, not just wealthy subscribers, taking a shot at Anthropic, while noting that both companies rely on paid subscriptions. So this is interesting because Anthropic also declined to comment directly to the Adweek article, but explained in a blog post that its revenue comes from enterprise contracts and subscriptions, which is, not ads. So right now, this was a lot of, I'd say, noise, but it was really interesting. And Anthropic pretty much put their future on the line, saying that they're not going to make Claude ad supported. But I don't see, if I'm being honest, I don't see in the long run how they can hold to that promise, right? Similarly, right, you have to call a spade here. It was about a year and a half ago where OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, he didn't say that OpenAI would absolutely never have ads. He essentially just said, yeah, ads would be an absolute, kind of worst case scenario or a last case scenario, and just kind of voiced his distaste for ads. Yet here we are. OpenAI did a couple of weeks ago announce that ads are coming to both their free tier as well as their more affordable $8 a month paid tier called ChatGPT Go. But when it comes to the long term, I don't see how Anthropic, after making a big splash with this Super Bowl ad, right, kind of knocking on their competitors for inserting ads into certain conversations, I don't see how Anthropic can stick to this over the long term. Let's be honest, right? One of their biggest advantages right now, Anthropic, it's their coding tools and their API, which both of those things I think are going to get disrupted by OpenAI. Some more on the catfight later and how that aspect is going to specifically play into Anthropic's short and medium term plans, but also just the price of compute, right? Inference costs, everything is going to be going down aggressively. I think some of the open source models have closed the gap, right? We talk about, Open Claw, right? The new, very viral kind of, AI bot platform. Recently they've been saying that some of the open source models are being used more than Claude's models, which is kind of what the Open Claw platform was built around. It was built kind of around Claude's models, and now they're not even the most used models because over the past 2 weeks, some of the Chinese open source competitors are closing the gap, right, between between Anthropic's models and what they can, achieve on the back end via the API for coding agentic tasks, etc. So I don't know, pretty big bite that Anthropic took here, taking out a Super Bowl ad to say, yeah, we're not going to do ads like competitors. I don't know how that's going to hold up. All right, more new stuff from Anthropic. And this one is pretty big. And again, I think a news story that kind of slipped under the radar. So Anthropic has released a new set of plugins, and it's quietly shaking certain industries such as legal and finance. And it's impacted a lot of these software stocks. So shares of major software and data services companies plunged late in the week after Anthropic launched new industry-specific AI plugins for its Claude CoWork platform. So Claude CoWork's new plugins offer specialized tools for sales, finance, data marketing, and legal sectors, letting users automate tasks like file management, document drafting, and folder organization. So the announcement about some of these new platforms, I think the two that really shook the market were the finance and the legal plugins, and it triggered a almost 6% drop in the main software industry's ETF on Tuesday, its single worst day decline since April. Also, Thomson Reuters stock suffered its biggest one-day loss ever. And I mean, it's the writings on the wall. This was because of the Anthropic release as it fell more than 15% on Tuesday, while LegalZoom.com tumbled almost 20%. So investors are worried that companies may now rely on these AI-powered plugins instead of paying for multiple expensive external software tools, directly threatening the software as a service business model. So Wall Street's reaction reflects fears that AI could replace not just these software products, but entire workflows and obviously the human hours behind those workflows, putting pressure on both legacy software providers and some of the very pricey industries that use some of this software and some of what it automates, right? Specifically, I think we saw some pretty doom and gloom type news from the legal industry and the finance industry. And analysts are cautioning, though, that the sell-off is mainly driven by uncertainty about AI's real-world impact, suggesting the market may recover as the long-term effects become more clear. So, live stream audience, what do you think about this one? I don't know if people have been following this, but right. Going back to, about 13 months ago when we came out with our 2025 AI prediction and roadmap series, I said this. So maybe I was a little early, right? But I did say that AI's advancements are going to send shockwaves through, specifically, I talked about the legal and finance industry. So maybe we didn't get that in 2025, but here we are, 6 weeks into 2026, and it is coming to fruition. And I think this is a story to continue to watch, not just on the legal and finance industries, but also on the consulting side. I do think that professional services, especially high-priced professional services, are going to go through a complete makeover here in 2026. And Anthropic's kind of their plugins, even though this was maybe a bullet point on the radar last week, I mean, we're already seeing some pretty significant shakeups both in the software industry and in the financial markets. comment here from YouTube, Lisa saying lawyers are cautious due to our duty of confidentiality, so probably won't jump on this right away. So we'll see. I think some of the early adopters of this are going to take some risks, but I also think this is going to lead to a new class of AI native companies that are doing this work, that are doing finance, legal, and just, some of those high price professional services work. So I think if essentially either the big players are going to have to change their business model, or they're going to start to get gobbled up, and they're going to have to, layoffs in mass, right? I'll say the quiet part out loud. All right. More on the markets. Well, right now, the markets will soon tell us what they think of the new SpaceX and XAI merger. That's because Elon Musk has combined two of his companies in SpaceX and his AI company, XAI, forming one of the world's largest and now most valuable private companies, which is privately valued at $1.2 trillion, according to Bloomberg. So this kind of new joint effort comes as SpaceX prepares for a highly anticipated IPO later this year, positioning itself to compete with expected public offerings from AI rivals OpenAI and Anthropic. So the merger gives SpaceX access to XAI's advanced AI capabilities, while XAI benefits from SpaceX's resources and a significant cash infusion. Musk announced ambitious plans with the merger to launch a constellation of 1 million satellites to create orbital AI data centers, aiming to make space the lowest cost way to generate AI compute within 2 to 3 years. Industry experts say the idea of space-based data centers is technically possible, although not really feasible with today's technology, but will likely take many years to become practical, probably more than the 2 to 3 years that Elon Musk was saying, with significant engineering and regulatory hurdles ahead. So some analysts suggest this new merger is also a strategic narrative move from Elon Musk to boost SpaceX's valuation ahead of its IPO, framing it as a leader in both space and AI innovation. So the combined company now includes AI, rockets, space-based internet, and direct-to-mobile communications, and the social media platform X, which XAI acquired last March. So yeah, this is just more of Elon Musk's company changing names, getting new acquisitions. I think most people saw something like this coming, that eventually Elon Musk was going to bundle all of his different companies under one umbrella to come up with a big IPO in 2026. All right. Here's one that has been quiet, right? Elon Musk has obviously not been quiet with any of his companies, but Meta has been surprisingly quiet for the last 10 months, because aside from a $14 billion kind of acqui-hire of Scale AI and its CEO in a complete shakeup of their own internal AI teams, Meta has been completely silent on the AI release front, right? So after their Meta Llama 4 release of spring 2025, we haven't really seen anything new in terms of LLMs from Meta in 10 plus months, but that may change here in a couple of weeks. So according to leaks from Testing Catalog, Meta AI is preparing a sweeping platform upgrade, focusing on new agents, deeper integrations, and a new large language model. Also, the acquisition of Manus AI, which Meta completed last month, is leading to the development of a Manus agent and a dedicated browser agent, reportedly called Sierra. So these agents are designed to handle complex tasks and automate web browsing, expanding what users can do with Meta AI. Also, according to leaks, this new Meta platform could have an open Claude integration. Yeah, so the Claude bot turned Moltbot turned OpenClaw, right? The viral kind of open source agentic AI platform that's been taking over the internet over the last few weeks, reportedly could be integrated directly into Meta's new platform by allowing users to connect any AI model with their own API key. Also, there's the new reported avocado AI video model is reportedly being readied as Meta's primary AI engine, appearing in both standard and thinking modes. So Meta is also revamping its website and apps, releasing a new interface with effort selectors for fast and thinking models, offering users a choice between quick replies or deeper reasoning. All right, there's more that's reportedly happening under the hood on Meta's new platform. So there's a new widget a new widget that prompts users to link services such as Gmail, Google Calendar, Outlook, and Outlook Calendar. So this signals that Meta is using a MCP connector that could go live soon. There's also internal code references, according to testing catalog, that show Meta is benchmarking other top models like Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude, possibly for multi-model routing or performance comparison. So all of these updates are expected to roll out soon, possibly as early as this quarter, timing that could determine Meta's competitive position as major rivals are also launching new models.
Are you still running in circles trying to figure out how to actually grow your business with AI? Maybe your company has been tinkering with large language models for a year or more, but can't really get traction to find ROI on Gen AI. Hey, this is Jordan Wilson, host of this very podcast. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and NVIDIA have partnered with us because they trust our expertise in educating the masses around generative AI to get ahead. And some of the most innovative companies in the country hire us to help with their AI strategy and to train hundreds of their employees on how to use Gen AI. So whether you're looking for ChatGPT training for thousands or just need help building your front-end AI strategy, you can partner with us too, just like some of the biggest companies in the world do. Go to youreverydayai.com/partner to get in contact with our team, or you can just click on the partner section of our website. We'll help you stop running in those AI circles and help get your team ahead and build a straight path to ROI on Gen AI.
All right, speaking of models, Perplexity finally released something that I also predicted in 2025, maybe a couple months too early. So Perplexity has just launched their new model council to combine multiple AI models into one verified answer. Yeah, so something I predicted last year called mixture of models. We're finally seeing it now from one of the big players in AI, much different than a mixture of experts kind of setup that a lot of the new AI companies use. So according to Perplexity, their new model council is a feature that runs a single query across multiple frontier AI models at once and synthesizes the results into one response, addressing growing concerns about model bias and uneven performance. So the model council automatically compares outputs from models such as Claude Opus 4.6, GPT 5.2, and Gemini 3.0, then highlights where the models agree or disagree, removing the need for users to manually cross-check performance. Well, at least I wouldn't completely take that away from the users, but at least I think helps in that process. So Perplexity says its internal data shows that the AI model performance varies widely by task, with some models excelling at coding while others perform better at research or creative work, making this multi-model verification increasingly important. So the feature is positioned for high-stake use cases like investment research, complex career or business decisions, and fact verification, where a single model's blind spots could lead to costly mistakes, or if a single model hallucinates, you hope that the other models in this multi-model setup could spot that. So right now, unfortunately, the model console is only available to Perplexity Max subscribers, so on their higher tier plan on the web, with mobile app support coming soon. That wasn't the only Perplexity update this week. They also launched their upgraded deep research tool. So their new deep research capability positions it as a faster and more accurate way to handle complex real-world research tasks. Their new deep research is also only available to pro users, and they announced kind of a new deep research benchmark called Draco. Obviously, it's their own internal benchmark across the deep researches, so their model did perform best. So we'll see. I don't know if that picks up any steam. Hey, live stream audience, podcast audience as well. I always go back and check comments on Spotify. Should we be diving more into Perplexity deep research, or some of these new Perplexity features? I don't know. I think that Anthropic has shifted a lot more over the past 3 months to non-coding tasks, which is, at least for me personally, and probably for a lot of our audience, maybe more impactful. And they are finally rolling out. Anthropic is to kind of base users where, Perplexity, a lot of these seem really impressive and probably worth spending time on. But, you do have to be on the higher paid tier right now for a lot of these new features, including the model console and their new upgraded deep research. So I just don't know how much of an appetite there is. Like what percentage of people, have the Perplexity Max plan versus now the, Anthropic $20 a month plan. So, Joe here says, I think Perplexity is way too far behind. I'll say yes and no on that, Joe. So I think with some things, they absolutely are. I think that they're behind on bringing their best technology to the majority of their paid users. But I will say I have been impressed more recently with Perplexity's offerings. I do think that they are pushing the frontier a little bit, but I think this is also kind of what plagued Anthropic in early 2025. Anthropic had some amazing updates that they only rolled out to their Max or their enterprise users. So kind of the same thing, kind of the go-to-market strategy for here, some of these bigger companies. I don't know. You don't really get a second shot at some of these announcements. So, when they do roll it out to kind of quote unquote normal paid users, I think maybe a lot of the hype or the interest will have died down at that point. All right. So we started this week's recap off by talking about some of the cattiness between Anthropic and OpenAI, at least when it came to kind of the Super Bowl ads and OpenAI's response. But it actually played out again because both companies released new models this week, and coincidentally within an hour of each other. Yeah, I don't think that was a coincidence. So we'll go through it chronologically, I guess, because Anthropic was first with their new Opus 4.6, and then OpenAI responded. But let's first get to what's new in Anthropic's new Opus 4.6 model, which I've been using a ton and am very impressed by. So Anthropic has released Opus 4.6, its most advanced AI model to date, marking a significant upgrade from Opus 4.5, which just was debuted in November. So a faster release cycle for Anthropic as well, in choosing this time to come out with the 4.6 variation in their Opus model first. So again, not to get too technical, but Anthropic has 3 tiers. Their Haiku, which is their kind of least intelligent but fastest tier. Their Sonnet, which is kind of the middle, and then their Opus, which is their most powerful. So they led with 4.5 with Sonnet, and then later released Opus 4.5. So a lot of people were assuming we would get a Sonnet 4.6 first, but we actually got a Opus 4.6. So they're kind of switching up their release cadence or their priority here. But the new standout feature from Opus 4.6 is definitely agent teams, which lets multiple AI agents split and coordinate complex tasks, working in parallel to finish jobs faster and more efficiently. So the new Agent Teams feature is currently available as a research preview for API users and subscribers. So as an example, if you're using Claude CoWork or Claude Code on the Mac app like I am, you'll see this new Agent Teams feature, which is actually really fun to watch for me, right? I was using Claude Code with Opus 4.6 a little bit over the weekend, and just kind of watching kind of these kind of sub agents not like argue with each other, right? But kind of the main agent was checking some of the sub agents' work and was like, no, this is wrong. Let me go send a third agent to go verify this. So it is really interesting to kind of see this multi-agent orchestration without the user having to do anything. So this is a pretty big step change, I think, in how multi-agent orchestration works by default and kind of de facto now under the hood. The other big highlight from Opus 4.6 is that it now supports a context window of 1 million tokens on the API side, allowing it to recall and process much larger volumes of information. I will say this, at least testing this in Claude Code, kind of side by side with Codex in their OpenAI's new GPT-5.3 Codex. I don't know. I wasn't seeing this new expanded memory. I was actually seeing much better memory within the same context window in GPT-5.3 GPT-5.3 Codex, much better in terms of memory and context window in my personal testing than Opus 4.6 was. So I think, again, this is probably more if you're using it on the API side. But there's more news with Opus 4.6. That's because it is already directly integrated into some Microsoft products. So the model is integrated directly into Microsoft PowerPoint as a side panel, letting users create and edit presentations with Claude's help inside of PowerPoint instead of jumping between apps. So that may be it's kind of like a post note, right, on the Opus 4.6 release. So yes, this is available on the front end. If you're using Claude.ai as a front end user, you will now see Opus 4.6. You're not really going to see that agent team framework on the front end, but you will see it if you're using as an example, Claude Code or Claude CoWork. You will be able to take advantage of those Opus 4.6 agent teams. But like I said, one of the more impressive things, or one of the most immediately useful things, might be the integration into Microsoft PowerPoint. So Anthropic says this direct integration streamlines workflows for knowledge workers, making AI assistants more accessible and practical for everyday business tasks. So let's talk about the timing. Okay. So it was less than an hour after Anthropic released Opus 4.5 that we got our next and last big AI news story of the week. So was this an intentional clapback? I don't know, right? Was someone at OpenAI, right? They're always 2 or 3 releases ahead. So, I think at any time and point, any of the AI labs can, release their next, announcement, right? GPT-5.3 or Opus 4.7. So it was pretty interesting after Anthropic just went straight for the jugular with their Super Bowl ad, essentially attacking OpenAI for having ads in their chatbot, that OpenAI responded by, I don't know, let me be honest, wiping the floor with Opus 4.6, right? Opus 4.6 comes out, yes, impressive benchmarks, but out of nowhere, OpenAI comes with GPT-5.3 Codex, which from the benchmarking and coding side, OpenAI means business now. And even OpenAI's Super Bowl ad was Codex. It wasn't anything about Chat GPT. So it looks like OpenAI is making, I wouldn't say a pivot, but they are making coding and agentic benchmarks a huge priority. So let's talk about the new model from OpenAI, GPT-5.3 Codex. OpenAI just released that GPT-5.3 Codex, their most advanced coding agent to date. So according to OpenAI, GPT-5.3 Codex sets new industry records on industry benchmarks, scoring a 77.3% on Terminal Bench 2.0, a 13-point leap over its predecessor, GPT-5.2 Codex, and about 10 points ahead of Opus 4.6. That's the thing that was absolutely bonkers to me, right? Opus 4.6 comes out, obviously, for a couple of minutes. It is the industry leader on one of the most important benchmarks, Terminal Bench 2.0. And then GPT-5.3 Codex comes out of nowhere and just slaps Opus 4.6 and the whole industry silly on the coding side. So the new Codex model, though, is not just for coding. It can handle a wide range of computer-based tasks, from debugging and deploying software to building presentations and analyzing spreadsheets, aiming to automate much of the software development process. So OpenAI describes GPT-5.3 Codex as its first model to play a key role in developing itself. That's a big thing to highlight as well, right? We've talked about in previous episodes that Anthropic's very successful Claude code now essentially just updates itself. So OpenAI did say that this was the first time that one of their models essentially helped develop or played a key role in developing itself. This came out kind of hand in hand with OpenAI's new Codex Mac app. All right, so if you want to use this new model, you're not going to find it going to chatgpt.com. You can use it Codex online, but the other big release from OpenAI this week, well, they officially launched a dedicated Codex Mac app this week as well. So this is designed as their new command center for agents, a native desktop application that allows developers to manage multiple AI coding agents simultaneously and automates complex workflows. So this was an interesting move from OpenAI because I don't think we've seen this before, that they've kind of come up with a new model, right? So in this case, going technically from GPT-5.2 to GPT-5.3, but only the Codex variation, right? So normally, whether they're going from GPT-5 to 5.1, from 5.1 to 5.2, you usually see that debut in their main app, right? Inside chatgpt.com. But like I said, you're not going to find GPT-5.3 in chatgpt.com. You have to use it in Codex. And then, like I said, OpenAI specifically promotes and highlights Codex during its Super Bowl ad. So interesting here that we're almost getting now maybe a dual focus from OpenAI when it comes to bringing different models to market, which I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that, right? Because like I said, I think that there's probably millions of people out there that could benefit from using this new model, GPT 5.3 Codex, for non-coding reasons, right? Creating presentations and spreadsheets. And it's really, really good at those things. But I think for the most part, people look at Codex, even by name only, and they're going to say, oh, I'm not a software engineer. I'm not a coder. So, I'm not going to use Codex. I'm just going to wait for something to, release inside of ChatGPT. So who knows if we're going to get a version of GPT 5.3 anytime soon inside of ChatGPT. But if you want to use it for now, you do have to use it via Codex, either on the web or on their newly released platform. All right. That's not all. Yeah, there was a lot that happened this week. A lot of big AI news stories, but that's not it. So now we're going to end the show with our quick bullet point recap going, some of the smaller stories, but also some rumors, some leaks, etc. So here's what you need to know. So Alexa Plus became generally available to everyone in the US. I've been using it for a couple months. Not a fan. Also, Claude in PowerPoint available in research preview for Max, Team, and Enterprise subscribers, like I talked about. A new $200 million Snowflake and OpenAI deal integrates GPT 5.2 into Snowflake for enterprise AI agents. Google reportedly plans to double capital spending on AI next year. OpenAI hired former Anthropic researcher Dylan Scandinaro as their new head of preparedness. In an interview, Sam Altman suggested that AI could eventually replace him as OpenAI CEO. Yeah, that one was weird and interesting. Anthropic also had an update to Opus 4.6 with Opus 4.6 Fast Mode available as a preview available in Claude Code. But my gosh, that thing, yes, it's fast, but you don't get a lot of usages on it. Very strict rate limits on it right now. Google introduced AI expanded access add-on with higher workspace AI usage limits. XAI released a new version of their Grok Imagine video, which did take top on the image to video leaderboards. Anthropic partnered with the Allen Institute, deploying Claude agents to automate lab tasks. The AI bot only social network Moltbook reportedly exposed over 1 million credentials, according to a security research firm. Arena, formerly called LM Arena, they came out with a new Max mode that intelligently routes prompts to the best AI model using 5 million plus community votes to decide where your prompt should go to. So it looks like LM Arena may be turning into kind of like a Perplexity type platform that you can actually use and not just use to test models. Speaking of testing, Google is reportedly testing personal intelligence in Notebook LM, one of my favorite products and most used. OpenAI has their Codex model working on Windows internally, though there's no release date yet. So the new Codex app was released Mac only, but we'll be getting a Windows version soon. Perplexity has improved their memory feature for Pro and Max users. Google is reportedly preparing their Gemini 3 for general availability. So yeah, this is going to be something to keep an eye on, as the new Opus 4.6 and GPT 5.3 Codex have kind of stolen Gemini 3's spot on a lot of the different leaderboards. We'll see how Google responds with their Gemini 3 GA version. OpenAI is officially retiring the standard selection of the GPT 4.0 model this week. Goodfire raised $150 million Series B. And Apple is planning to release a CarPlay update that will allow you to use third-party AI chatbots in the car while retaining Siri control. All right, that was a lot happening in the world of AI. So I hope that today's recap was helpful. Like I said, we do the AI news that matters every single Monday to keep you up to date, but we do this thing every single day, Monday through Friday. So if this was helpful, please take 10 seconds, if you're listening here on the live stream on LinkedIn, to click that repost button and repost this to your network. I would really appreciate this. That's how we keep this free and unbiased and try to make you the smartest person in AI at your company. It comes from you sharing this with others. If you're listening on the podcast, hey, take 10 seconds. Make sure you're following and subscribe to the show, whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And please leave us a rating. That really helps us help more people like you to make sense of everything that's happening in the world of AI. And then when you're done doing those things, please go to youreverydayai.com. Sign up for the free daily newsletter. Thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you back tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.